What happened when my clingy girlfriend stopped answering my calls? For 3 years, my friends told me Vera was too much. She texted good morning every single day without fail. She called on her lunch breaks just to hear my voice. She wanted to know when I got home safe every night. They called her obsessive and suffocating, and I started believing them because it was easier than defending her. Last month, I sat her down and told her she needed to back off and give me some space to breathe. She apologized with tears streaming down her face and promised to do better. She promised to be less annoying. The texts slowed down to almost nothing. The calls stopped completely. I told my friends she was finally being normal and acting like a regular girlfriend should. They congratulated me on training her right. That phrase made me deeply uncomfortable, but I laughed along anyway because I wanted to fit in. Then last Tuesday, she didn't text good morning for the first time in 3 years. I figured she was just respecting my boundaries like I asked. By noon, I felt strangely empty, not hearing from her, but reminded myself this is exactly what I wanted. By dinner, I texted her asking how her day was going. No response. I called before bed and it rang until voicemail. I told myself she was probably busy or maybe teaching me a lesson about what I asked for. Wednesday morning, still nothing. I started feeling genuinely worried. I drove to her apartment after work and knocked for 10 minutes straight. Her neighbor finally opened his door and asked if I was looking for the girl in 4B. He said an ambulance came Monday night and he hadn't seen her since. My blood went completely cold. I called every hospital in the city until I finally found her. When I reached her room, she was connected to machines with tubes running into her arms. Her mom was sitting beside her holding her hand, looking like she hadn't slept in days. She looked up at me with exhausted, hollow eyes and said Vera had a seizure Monday night. She said Vera has epilepsy and has had it since childhood. The medication she takes requires someone to check on her regularly because seizures can happen without warning. That's why she always texted and called. That's why she needed to know I was safe, because she needed to know someone would notice if she wasn't. Her mom's voice broke completely when she said Vera was alone for almost 6 hours before a coworker realized she never showed up to work and called 911 for a wellness check. 6 hours lying on her kitchen floor, unable to move or call for help. I collapsed into a chair and couldn't breathe properly. All those calls I complained about were her making sure someone would come for her if she needed help. All those texts were her creating a lifeline because she lived alone and knew exactly what could happen to her. She wasn't clingy or obsessive or suffocating. She was surviving the only way she knew how. Vera woke up 2 days later, and the very first thing she did was apologize for not giving me enough space. She said she was trying so hard to be less annoying, and she was so sorry I had to find out about her condition like this. I broke down crying right there in the hospital room. I told her I was the one who should be sorry. I told her my friends were complete idiots and I was an even bigger idiot for listening to them instead of asking her why those calls mattered so much. She squeezed my hand weakly and said she just didn't want to be a burden on anyone. That word absolutely destroyed me. This woman who checked on me every single day without fail thought she was a burden for wanting the exact same thing in return. I spent the next week at the hospital researching epilepsy and learning everything I should have asked about 3 years ago. I found out she'd had this condition since she was 12 years old. I found out she'd lost friends before who called her dramatic and demanding for needing check-ins. I found out she almost died twice before we even met because nobody was there to help her when she needed it most. When I finally brought her home, I sat her down and told her I wanted a text every single morning and a call every lunch break, and I wanted to know the second she felt anything off. She started crying and asked if I was actually serious. I told her I was moving in if she would let me. I told her she would never be alone on that floor again. My friends asked why I was suddenly so obsessed with her, and I told them the honest truth. I told them she wasn't clingy. She was scared and alone, and I made everything worse because I cared more about their stupid opinions than her actual safety. None of them had a single thing to say after that. Last night, Vera texted me good morning at 6 a.m., and I have never been happier to see a notification light up my phone in my entire life.